Okay, good evening. Tonight is a regular meeting of the Police Commission, which we will call to order now at 7 p.m. Notice of the meeting was posted. We have 4 members here, so we have a quorum. So let's begin with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
to the
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so the next item on our agenda is correspondence. Terry, could you please read our correspondence?
I will. The first one received from a resident to Officer Arnold. Officer Arnold assisted the resident at her residence and was very understanding and kind. From a bystander at a medical call with Officer Russell. Officer Russell was dispatched to a medical call at a convenience store. There was a crowd gathered round and he did a great job managing a stressful situation. Received from Sergeant Chase for PFC Buonacani, Officer Robbins, Officer Cruz, Dispatcher Everest. A resident took his dog out for a walk and did not return. The officers were able to use the Find My Phone app and locate the resident's car and dog. They searched for the resident and found he was having a medical emergency. That's the end of the letters for tonight.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is public audience. We received one public comment, which I will read now, from Joan Coe. Police Commission meeting, February 8th, 2021. Pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act, I received from the town the full and complete internal investigation of the vandalized Foot Locker. On May 25th, 2018, the Simsbury Police Department initiated an internal investigation 18-01 of the vandalized Foot Locker. Lieutenant Sifo-Daskalakis was assigned by Chief Bolter to investigate the incident. There were many redactions on the report. Most of the redactions were allegedly Sergeant Thibault. On background, Sergeant Thibault is the police union vice president. Sergeant Thibault's Foot Locker is in close proximity to the vandalized Foot Locker. It is alleged that Sergeant Thibault is a boyhood friend of Lieutenant Sifo-Daskalakis. Sergeant Thibault was shift supervisor during the Karen Graham investigation of the home where Graham committed suicide. Sergeant Thibault was union vice president during the no confidence vote. Sergeant Thibault is on the list for promotion to lieutenant. Interviews. Sergeant Corcoran was interviewed by Lieutenant Sifo-Daskalakis. Sergeant Corcoran's report states, quote, I have overheard or personally had conversations with every patrol sergeant about this incident, including you, Lieutenant Sifo-Daskalakis, and Lieutenant Sheehan. The only sergeant who has not said anything in regard to this incident, even when the conversation has been had in his presence, was allegedly Sergeant Thibault. I also note that Chris was tasked by the chief to ask people if they were involved or had any knowledge of who was involved. Chris said that everyone he spoke to was cooperative and denied involvement of who was involved. Kritz said that everyone he spoke to was uncooperative and denied involvement, except for allegedly Sergeant Thibault. Kritz said that allegedly Sergeant Thibault instantly turned, quote, red in the face, and, quote, used profanities and stormed out of the room. Again, we are all trained observers in this profession, and allegedly Sergeant Thibault's reaction was not of someone who is innocent. It is also not a secret that allegedly Sergeant Thibault does not like most of the officers on C Squad because of their outgoing opinions on union issues, end quote. An unredacted section of Sergeant Kritz's report states, quote, I spoke to Dan first. When I told him what I had been asked to do, he got red in the face and agitated, but did not yell. He was upset that I would even think that he would have anything to do with the garbage incident and denied having anything to do with the garbage incident and denied having anything to do with it. I then spoke to you, Lieutenant Sifo-Daskalakis, and the chief gave you an update, end quote. Sergeant Thibault's first name is Dan. The conclusion of Lieutenant Sifo-Daskalakis' investigation states, quote, I am unable to show who dumped the garbage in the Foot Locker. There is no evidence which would identify the responsible person. All of the officers who were told if the person responsible is identified and are one of the officers whom gave me a statement, I would recommend termination for lying to me. All of the interviewed officers told me that they understood and still signed and swore in a statement under the Garrity warning, end quote. The question remains that anyone reading this report would be able to find the responsible party. Someone lied. Chief Bolter stated under oath that lying is grounds for termination. I am asking the police commission to reopen an investigation into the internal investigation of the vandalized Foot Locker report and report their findings to me and the full commission. All of my comments will be posted on Simsbury Patch, Twitter at Joan Coe, and Facebook. Joan Coe, 26 Whitcomb Drive, Simsbury, Connecticut. That is our only public comment. The next item on our agenda is approval of minutes for the January 11th, 2021.
Jenna,
Yes.
before we move on there, so do we need to address that, or does that, how does that get taken care of?
We just are reading it because it's the public comments right now. I just read them. So the next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes for January 11th, 2021 special meeting. Is there a motion on this matter?
Go ahead, Travis.
I move to approve the old minutes.
Terry seconds.
I just have a quick question for discussion. Was the January 11th meeting a special meeting or a regular meeting? My notes say regular, but I don't know if I made a mistake.
This is a regular meeting.
Okay. And then we also, it's noted on section 7A, chairman's report. We're just switching that to chairperson. So do we have a motion to amend the title of the minutes to regular meeting instead of special meeting?
So moved.
All in favor? Oh, I apologize. I forgot a second. My mistake. Anyone second that?
I second it.
Jenna, if I may,
Yes.
I think we rescheduled the January meeting, and that's what made it a special meeting. We rescheduled the time, I believe.
Okay. So the January 11th and the 25th were both special meetings? I just want to make sure we have it right.
Yeah. So the 25th was a special meeting for Lieutenant Sam Selsky. And I'm just looking back now. I believe that the 11th was a special meeting because we changed the time from 7 p.m. to 6:30.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Then.
Yeah. Yes, I believe that was the case. So I think they were both special meetings.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure we had it right for bookkeeping purposes.
Yep.
In that case, all in favor of approving the minutes, say, for the January 11th special meeting?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. The next minutes up are the January 25th, 2021 special meeting minutes. Do I have a motion on that?
Motion to approve.
And a second?
Second it.
Any discussion? In that case, all in favor, say aye.
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 And opposed. All right, they are approved. The next item on our agenda is old business. Do we have any old business? Hearing none, we will move on to the reports. Chairman's report, I have nothing. And the chief's report.
Hi, good evening. Just a quick update on the public safety radio system. The town and the fire district have completed a memorandum of understanding for the shared services related to our new public safety radio system. That includes towers, equipment, and maintenance in the future. Marcus Communication will move forward with implementing the new system, and I am happy to report that today I did speak with Marcus, and they are anticipating on moving much quicker than they thought over the last few months. So as you recall, the end of last year, we had received word that the project would be delayed due to the manufacturing and the COVID-related issues. They are now expecting all of the equipment and the services to be up and running within the next couple months. So that's very good news for us. Just a report on personnel. Sean Crowley is doing very well with our field training program, and we anticipate that he will complete that field training sometime in March. We have continued to have members affected by COVID-19. since our last meeting in January 11th, we have had 2 members quarantined for 10 days due to a known positive exposure. We had 1 member quarantined due to a positive household member. There were 5 patrol overtime shifts as a result, and 15 dispatch overtime shifts as a result of COVID-related absences. An additional member returned to work after an extended leave. And since January, we had 1 National Guard member who was activated to full-time duty for a 1-month period, and he is expected back to work this week. So not related to COVID, but just related to personnel. The COVID-19 vaccination has been offered to all first responders, and some have received 1 or 2 of those doses. And we still have some members who are working remotely part of the time, or working shifts when they don't normally work shifts to minimize the amount of people in an office. We're trying not to share offices at the same exact time, and that is going well. We currently have 4 vacancies. So as you are aware, we are authorized to have 7 dispatchers and 39 sworn members. We have 1 dispatch position that is vacant and 4 sworn positions that are vacant. I'm prepared tonight to present you with a candidate for one of those sworn vacancies. Even when that vacancy is filled, the reality is that we're operating with 5 less than we are authorized. The two newer officers, 1 officer now, Sean Crowley, and hopefully our new officer very soon here, will have a short period of training. And as they're training, they're working with somebody else. So the 2 are considered 1 officer during that training time. So we'll still be looking at, several weeks anyways, if not months, where we're down 4 officers, if not 5. So we're still trying to fill some of those vacancies.
And Chief, while you're on the subject, can you just give us a little illumination here on the training? Is there a certain number of hours, or are there objectives that, for example, Sergeant Crowley needs to meet? Yes.
So we have a whole field training and evaluation program, and a post requires for a non-certified officer, so somebody brand new, it's 400 hours of training after they graduate from the police academy. Within that 400 hours is basically our policies, our procedures, the town, our equipment, lots of things here in-house. And the officer goes through basically 12 to 14 weeks of progressively doing more and more and more, and they're evaluated every single day. With officers such as Sean Crowley, who has already been certified, he's not required to have the 400 hours of service of training. We do that same exact program, but we do it at a much faster pace. So he still has to show us that he understands all of our policies and procedures, that he understands our town, that he's comfortable with using our equipment, our system. So it ends up being anywhere from like a 4 to a 10-week period as opposed to a 12 to 14-week period.
Thank you.
You're welcome. One officer who has been assigned to patrol has been out for a non-work related injury since the first week of December 2020. And we expect a medical status report on him tomorrow. And then another officer who was not assigned to patrol had returned to work after almost being out for almost 3 months, again, due to a non-work related illness. So, with all those vacancies and with a couple absences here and there, we're really running kind of on, I don't want to even say bare minimums, but running with less than we should be running. So we are actively looking to recruit some members here. And then as of our last meeting, the special meeting on the 25th, Lieutenant Sam Selski has jumped right into his new role and assignment as the patrol commander. And that's all I have for my general report. And then once we get to the consolidated monthly, I have some additional information there.
Okay. Does anyone have any additional questions? All right, then. The consolidated report is up. Has everyone had a chance to look at it? Any questions?
My question is, hey, Chief, I see motor vehicle stops are up 23%, and there's been 2 vehicle thefts in January. Can you give us just a little bit on that? And then, are there any other anomalies as far as statistics that stand out? Like, hey, let's talk about this and why this happened.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So I'll address the motor vehicle thefts first. So for the calendar year 2020, we had a total of 31 vehicles that were stolen, and that's up 55%, or 11 vehicles from the year before. Page 1 of the consolidated monthly report shows that the addition of 2 thefts in December. We actually didn't have those thefts in December. What happened was our reporting system reports the number of thefts by incident number, and for 2 of our incidents, they had 2 vehicles stolen. So there was an incident number in July of 2020 where 2 vehicles were stolen, and we counted it as 1 all along. So
from the same residence, right?
Same residence, yes. Yeah. So we've since corrected that, and that happened twice. So we thought, let's just add it in December. Let's put a little asterisk there and a note to understand that it wasn't in December, but we're now reporting that those were stolen. Let's see. And so if you take a look at sort of a 5-year history, we're up 343% in stolen vehicles. So, we've gone over this before. 2014, 2015, average number of vehicle thefts in town were 6, 7 the following year. Then the jump begins. It goes to 16 one year, 16 the following year, 20, and then 31 last year. Move right on to motor vehicle accidents, and then Commissioner Schweizer, I'll address the January. The total number of accidents in 2020 decreased significantly from 2019, so it was a 35% decrease. The number of self-initiated traffic stops is down about 51%, so roughly 4,100 to almost 4,200 stops in 2019 to just over 2,000 stops, self-initiated stops department-wide in 2020. And then one more figure here, medical calls. The aided calls that we go on increased from 1,717 in 2019 to 1,808 in 2020, a 5% increase. So the reason I sort of lump these together is the number of accidents, the number of self-initiated traffic stops, and the number of medical calls, I believe, are all related to the pandemic. Not completely, not 100%, but there is a correlation to the pandemic. We know that once the pandemic hit, the officers were very reluctant to make car stops. Everything was all very new. Everybody was super sensitive to not spreading this. So over the course of most of the year, those stops were considerably down.
And less vehicles on the road.
Yes, that's my second point. A ton less vehicles on the road. So that's where I think the motor vehicle accidents fall into play there. I think that there were so many less vehicles on the road that we had a lot less accidents. We have been pushing for the officers to try to initiate more traffic stops because we know that those traffic violations are out there. We are receiving complaints. In fact, the number of complaints are up this in 2020 than in 2019. And we have seen this progressively year after year, mostly anecdotally because we have not had a good way of tracking those in years past. But we know that the need is there. The need is there for traffic enforcement. The need is there to look at traffic-related issues. So we're trying to find ways to have the officers more comfortable out there and encourage them to do more traffic enforcement. And that's why the numbers, I believe, have increased in January. We did have motor vehicle thefts in January. And again, it's the same method as the years before that. The vehicles are left unlocked. The keys or the key fobs are left accessible, and the vehicles are from a residence. I think I answered your.
Yeah, I just wanted to see if there was anything alarming, any statistic that jumped out at you that required some additional explanation.
I don't think so. Besides those that I mentioned, I'll add one more, which is the number of pistol permits. And we may not look at this as a number that jumps out for, say, a patrol officer, but it really does have some significant impact on all aspects of the police department. And I'll just quickly walk you through, a pistol permit application process here, showing that the graph that I provided to you here, or the table that I provided, we had 65 applicants for pistol permits in 2019. In 2020, we had 347. So a huge 433% increase in applications. We can speculate why that is, but instead of that, let's deal with, we actually have the applications. And what does that mean? It takes up a considerable amount of time for our records division. That's the records supervisor and the records clerk. But we also have the officers and the detectives involved in that. So there are questionnaires that we ask the applicants. There are background checks that we ask, that we have to do of the applicants. There's a brief check that the dispatchers get involved in. The officers have to check the fingerprints on the applicants. So there's a considerable amount of time, and I plan for the next meeting to be able to break that down for you, because I think it's important in our budget process to be able to show that information about what that significant increase does to our division, or to our department, I should say. But those were the ones that were of most interest to me for the month.
We charge a fee for that?
I'm sorry?
We charge a fee if someone wants to register ownership of a firearm?
Yes, so there is a fee that goes to the state and a fee that goes to the town.
Could we raise that enough to offset overtime or whatever extra time is necessary? Because
Commissioner, I'll have to check into that, because I don't know if we're allowed to. I don't know if that is set by any statute.
seems like it's almost like a private duty job, it's extra work. And,
It is certainly a lot of work.
yeah.
It is.
By the way, I'm here now. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good old Comcast comes through, man.
Are there any more questions on the chief's report? Okay, then the next item on our agenda is new business. First is the new officer selection recommendation. I will again hand it over to the chief.
Okay, thank you. So this evening I am recommending Eric Papalarczyk to be the next police officer in Simsbury. He has an associate's degree from Manchester Community College, and he is a Connecticut post-certified police officer. Eric joins us this evening. He has always worked closely with people. He has an extensive employment history working in the fitness industry as a director of fitness and coaching and as a personal trainer. For almost 10 years, he worked directly with customers and coworkers, supervising, motivating, and providing support through problem solving, creativity, and enhancing the professionalism of the service that he provides and that his coworkers provided. Eric is currently a police officer in Hartford, serving since July 2018. His primary assignment has been patrol, but in his short time, he has experience assisting with auto theft cases, vice, and narcotics. He has tried to get involved in as much as he possibly can. Throughout the numerous interviews in our process with various members and ranks of this department, Eric has expressed a desire to connect with the community, to create opportunities, and to solve problems. In addition to very good communication skills, Eric brings a mature outlook with many life and work experiences that will be a benefit to this department and community. A former coworker described Eric as calm under pressure, inspirational, extremely responsible, and one who always sets a good example. So I would like to introduce to you, Eric Papalarczyk.
Welcome.
Well,
I would like to open it up to the commission for any questions.
Eric, why Simsbury?
Well, Simsbury is a town that I've always enjoyed. Way back in mid-90s, I used to work at the Chart House. That's where I got my first big experience in Simsbury, and I worked there for a little bit, and sort of fell in love with the town. It's a great little town, tons of history, which I love. I personally am a big history buff. So just all the history in the town. It's a quaint little town. How could you not love it?
Any issues while you were working in Hartford that you want to leave? Or is it just the benefits of Simsbury?
So I love working in Hartford. Absolutely love it. But I became a police officer because I wanted to work more with the community. I wanted to be more proactive, less reactive. And I find that my role in Hartford in patrol tends to be more reactive. We go from call to call usually, very little downtime to actually interact with residents and try to address any concerns or questions that they might have. It's one call and then on to the next, which is, I mean, it's fun, and it's like I said, it's a great place, but it's not why I decided to be a police officer, and it's not what I ultimately wanted to do.
That's all I have, Jenna.
Thank you, Terry.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. Chairperson,
Go ahead.
if I
Mike.
may.
You may.
Thank you. Eric, do you think you're ready to hang in here for the long haul, or do you have your eyes on something further sometime in the not too distant future? I mean, you're going to be here for a while, or what do you think?
Well, this decision to move from Hartford, it took a lot of talking, a lot of soul searching, talking with my wife, and discussing benefits and long term. I know I may look it, but I'm not 24, and wherever I go next that's it for me. That's where I'd like to finish out my career.
This being the
I
next.
love Hartford, and I got a lot of great experience there. Still collecting a lot of great experience there. But I want to, wherever I move to next, and I hope it's Simsbury, I want to be in it to win it till the very end.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Long. Go ahead, Travis.
Yeah, Eric, great to see you tonight. I'm wondering if you could just tell us about maybe two calls you've been on. One positive experience because of you, and maybe one that there were some lessons learned as you walked away from the call, like, wow, we could do that better in the future. And maybe tell us what some of those lessons were.
So one call that really sticks out in my head, responded to a individual that had stolen some liquor from a liquor store. He stole a bottle of alcohol. And after looking around the area for him, we found him on a rooftop. And we were just thinking that this guy was going to come down off the roof with us. It was a $20 bottle of liquor. He got up from where he was hiding, took 2 steps, and dove off the side of the building. Thankfully, myself and my partner were close enough to grab him mid-jump. As he went over, we grabbed a hold of him, held on to him until we could get back up there, up to the 3rd floor. And we were finally able to get him up over, but he kept on saying, I want to die, let me go, I want to die. He kept on trying to pull himself down. So, I mean, that really, it really stuck with me, that this guy just did not care to live anymore. It was all over a $20 bottle of alcohol. So, I mean, I feel like first of all, situational, getting myself in a better position to maybe grab him a little sooner before he was mid jump would have been more beneficial. But also to really just understand that not everybody's thinking the way you are. And for whatever this guy's reason was, I don't know, but he's coming from a different place than where I am. And for me, it just really took, all right, I have to step back and see where's this person coming from, and try to view their viewpoint as best as I can. Second call, where I really learned a lot was I went on a call with a very senior officer. That gentleman was not in the best mood that day, and out of nowhere, the complainant and the officer started arguing, and I was blown away that somebody in a professional setting, someone who's a sworn officer, had that much anger and the inability to deal with people in a positive manner. That really struck home with me, and it's something that I take with me on all my calls. That, all right, I have to make sure that I'm being polite, listening, treating the individual the way I'd want to be treated, and not like they're an inconvenience.
Thank you for sharing. I've got nothing further, Jenna.
Thank you. Tanisha, do you have any questions?
Actually, I have one question. I work in Hartford. I've been working in Hartford forever. So, and I'm also a native of Hartford. So my question to you is that both areas, Hartford and Simsbury, are completely different from one another. You will have completely different types of experiences, just because of the different populations and demographics, right? What experiences do you have in Hartford that would be able to translate well to our population here in Simsbury?
Well, really every call is going to be able to translate over, whether it's an auto accident, whether it's a homicide. God, I hope that's not the case. However, whatever the call is, if you're treating the people that you're dealing with respect and honesty, you're going to get positive results either way. So everything that I've learned in Hartford, whether it's what I think I should be doing or what I think I should not be doing on a call, it easily translates to Simsbury, to East Hartford, to Brooklyn, New York, to Boston, Massachusetts. Just treat people like a human being. I mean, that's like a big thing. Be nice to people and try to hear their side of the story.
What do you think would be your biggest challenge coming from Hartford to here?
The biggest challenge is probably going to be policies and procedures, like how it's done in Hartford. I know is different than how things are done in Simsbury. I know that in Hartford, we are so busy that we triage a lot of things, and it moves on to the next party or the detective or wherever it's going in the system. And I know with Simsbury, it's going to be a requirement for me to do more on beyond the call. And I understand that, and that might take some time to get used to that.
Nothing else, Jenna.
Okay, great. I was excited to hear you, or happy to hear you mention community policing, because that is very important to our department. Is there anything else that's not in the information we received that you feel we should know?
Well, I became a police officer because I feel passionately about helping people. I became a police officer because when I reflected back on myself and my job and my career, I realized that I got a lot of personal satisfaction out of helping people. I feel that being a police officer, I can help a bigger amount of people than I have in the past. And I absolutely love being a police officer. Absolutely, hands down, best job in the world. And I feel like in Simsbury, I could really take this career further and be part of a community, and be part of a community that where a lot of people care. Not that they don't in where I am, but again, I want more of that community policing experience.
Thank you. Does anyone else have further questions?
No.
Okay. In that case, I will entertain any motion to accept the chief's recommendation for the new officer selection of Eric Popliarczyk.
Close.
Say it one more time for me.
Popliarczyk.
Popliarczyk. Okay.
That's not bad. Point of order, Madam Chair, typically we have some discussion, not in the presence of the applicant, about which way we want to go before we take a vote. There's a time for some discussion. So I don't know, it's difficult when we're on Zoom here because you just don't walk down the hall to the next room, but there's got to be some way to do that. And Chief, have you, think of a way we can provide for that?
Eric is now in the waiting room, so he cannot hear us.
Ah,
There we go. Thank you.
okay. So, okay, then I think he can be a positive choice for us. I think he's not a young kid out of school who's just jumping up and down looking to be a cop. He's had some good experiences in life, and he's a mature gentleman who's now worked in the hot cauldron of Hartford, if you will, and still wants to be a police officer and still wants to do a good job and wants to, it seems to me, impart things that he has learned and knows to the population here that he may run into. So I'd like to make a motion that we recommend to the chief that we go ahead and that he go ahead and extend an offer to him.
I could only catch a little bit of that. I'm sorry. My sound was not great.
Well, that's okay. I'm having a system here that does not work very well. I have another phone here that is dead completely tonight. So I'm a little out of sorts. Anyway, I'd like to recommend that we go forward with it, and I'd like to make a motion that we make that recommendation to the chief.
Okay.
Terry will second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
No further discussion, I take it. Okay.
Oh.
Any opposed? Okay. Do you want to bring him back in, or is, I don't know how to do this on Zoom. I apologize.
Nope, it's I think it's going well. Kelsey will bring him back in.
Okay.
Yeah. You can congratulate him for us all, Janet, when he comes in.
On behalf of the commission, I'd like to congratulate you. How was that, Mr. Long?
That is perfect. That is perfect. I like it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Welcome to the force.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations and welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Look forward to work with every one of you.
Congratulations, Eric. As we had discussed, Sergeant Christian will be in touch with you tomorrow. I'll give you a call after the meeting. You're more than welcome to stay on board here for the rest of the meeting. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda under new business is the police chaplain policy.
I
So,
volunteer. I like to volunteer.
what are your credentials?
Where'd this come from, Chief? What's up?
So it's been in the works for probably close to a year and a half now. And, we had been thinking about what other services are out there that can help us do our job better, that can be there as an extension of the police department, of the town, that can be there for members of this department. And, the police chaplain service has been, around forever in some communities. So we reached out. I spoke with some representatives from police departments around Connecticut, and Norwich being one, Hartford being another, and just found out, what is the benefit of having a chaplain program. And I heard nothing but positive feedback. So it just so happened at the time I was introduced to Father Taylor Albright from Trinity Church in Terriffill, and his experience has been as a chaplain in the fire service. So we had spent some time over the course of probably 6 months talking about what types of benefits this would bring to our service and to potentially to our membership here. And it just felt like it was a great idea. So over the course of about a year, we put together this draft policy. It's been, I guess you could say, vetted through Father Albright as far as what a chaplain would be able to bring to us for service. It mirrors many of the other departments. We've looked at it from a risk management aspect in the town, and would like it to be a consideration from the police department as one of our general orders, one of our policies. And I think it would be a very big benefit.
Does anyone have any questions or discussion?
Well, you answered my question that you had someone in mind, and that you did take the long view on this, that you've been working on it for 18 months. I don't see any negatives to this, Chief. I think it's a great idea.
Thank you. One aspect that I didn't include is part of that initial process was meeting with the Simsbury Interfaith Clergy Group that meets. And this was probably close to a year and a half ago. And I had presented the idea to the clergy and asked if they would provide some feedback and if anybody would have an interest in that. And there was interest, and Father Albright was one, and there was another member of the clergy who may be interested as well. I think that, if somebody has interest in this and it seems to fit, the department and community's need, we may be looking at several. But I do have one right now who is certainly very interested and has been a big part of this. And I think that's a good way to get the program started.
I think it's a great idea, Chief. Congratulations on initiating it. The only possible drawback or thought that I might have, and forgive me for thinking this way, but will you be doing any sort of background check? There's been enough bad cases in the last half a dozen or so years with, pedophiles and other folks in the clergy ranks that we certainly don't need that, don't want that. So I would just say if there's some discreet way of, some sort of background check before you go forward, I think would be advisable. But I'm all for it. I think it's a great idea. When people need solace, there's nothing, there's no one better probably to be able to do that than a clergyman or a clergy person.
Yep.
So I'm for it.
Thank you.
Hey, Chief, I come at this thing from a Navy perspective, and I can just tell you that Navy chaplains have been absolutely invaluable to units for a whole host of reasons, and if nothing else, but to just make the mission and the job more human, and to allow greater respect for everyone and for the job that you're doing. So I applaud your efforts. Commissioner Long's comments on a background check, I'm assuming that, we already have a known individual in mind and have a good history there. So any further applicants, I suspect will take the same approach. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you both for your perspective. I'll just touch on it very briefly. So there is a process basically in place, and it's sort of twofold. It's one on our end, and then a second on, is the person in good standing in the clergy. So I think it's very important to have the not only the respect, but the backing of not necessarily all of the clergies, but in the process of being within that profession. I think this is a really good opportunity for us in many aspects, and just an example of extending our services. If there are people who request the service of somebody from the clergy, whether it's an untimely passing of a loved one, and they do not know the person's religious faith, and they just want somebody in general. Then the police chaplain can provide that. If they want somebody from a specific religion and our police chaplain is not of that denomination, then they can facilitate that. If one of our members just needs to discuss something, then it's there for them as a wellness and as a resource. So we envision this program as the chaplains being here on a regular basis, as often as they can, and often as it allows at the department, to get to know all of our employees, not just the officers, but all of our employees. There are things that officers, dispatchers, and even support staff experience and go through that are job related and not job related, where they may be able to see the benefit or get some assistance from the members of the clergy. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's nothing that we are going to push on anybody. It's just another way for us to provide, and also a strong advocacy for the services that we do. We've, obviously policing in general throughout the nation has had its ups and downs, and 2020 has been quite an experience for us. And I believe that the relationship with our chaplains can extend all of the good services and all of the needs that we may need to do from that huge connection that they have. So one clergy person has hundreds or thousands of connections, and they can provide feedback to us on what what services may be needed, what needs to be adjusted, or vice versa.
Thank you. Any further discussion or questions? Okay, that was the last item on our agenda.
So, Commissioner, would we want to go forward with approving the?
Oh, yeah. Apologies. Do we have a motion to approve the police chaplain general order?
Motion to approve.
Do I have that?
Amen. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you very much. Now we really have reached the end of our agenda.
So then I'd like to take this opportunity to move that we adjourn.
Perfect timing, sir. I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank
Everyone have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Enjoy the
Thank you.
I
snow.
do apologize.
Thanks, you too.
Apologize for coming in. Equipment is something that happens. Sorry.
No
Thank you.
worries.
Congrats again, Eric.
Yep.
Good night, all.
Welcome.
Night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.